Hello.
Hi. Yes.
Well, for those who might be watching the live stream, my name is Sarah Allen. I'm the director of Mozfest, and I'm here with Jonas Lund and his project, Friendly Advice. Jonas, so this project.
Yes.
How's it
The project, yes. So before saying anything, it's like I would say this session is entirely up to you to decide what we're going to do. It's like entirely at your discretion to pick and choose exactly what we're going to address. So if you then address me to introduce the project, I will gladly do so.
I would like to use this time to learn more about the project and your
Yes.
work.
Okay.
And listen to some music.
Some music. Okay, fantastic. I'm happy to oblige. Yes. So I can show first. I can just demonstrate or introduce the project, which is a new commission for the Mozilla Festival. And Sarah invited me after a meeting about a month and a half ago, I think, something like this. Yes. So it's been produced in the last month, let's say. And it's a online performative artwork, which can, yes, online performative artwork, whatever that entails, actually. But in this is context and setup, it's I invite anybody to book my time, just like in this type of session. And this time slots are around 1 hour. And this is entirely up to the person who books to use my time for whatever they want. Here are some examples on the website, friendlyadvice.online, which is, so I will be your life coach, remote friend, hang out with you while you cook, watch you browse social media, the last person missing for your group game, assist you with your conceptual art problems, help you decide what to eat, remote watch your kids, solve your programming problems, help play a song or do absolutely nothing. And this is going on while this is going on, like in this totally speculative 1 hour Zoom hangout. I'm being watched by not machines of loving grace, but machines of horrible judgmental positioning. So I'm being watched by a range of performance measuring algorithms and AIs that analyze my behavior in real time, including like my intensity, productivity, attention, my current emotion, the sentiment of what I say and how much I talk, if I talk too much or too little. And it sort of suggests, based on all this metric it collects, it suggests things I should talk about or things I should say to try and be my best self. It's a sort of reinforcement learning. I think within artificial intelligence, a lot of the principles is about reinforcement learning. Like you train something over and over and you have a sort of correct like a training data set is usually in two parts. It's sort of the data you haven't classified and the data that is classified as correct, that you can use as a sort of test to see if your AI is performing well or not. So, and then in this case, it's called like a reinforcement learning because you reinforce the correct behavior. So in a way, it's me, I'm subjecting myself to being reinforcement trained by the system that I programmed in a way to kind of, for me, it's more about making visible or slightly more tangible the sort of hidden or really obvious consequences of automated decision-making processes, I think, in a way. I think simply described as this. So on the website, you have a booking system, which is like book a friendly advice with Jonas Lund, with a schedule, which unfortunately at this point is fully booked out. It's unfortunate for you as the viewer, in case you were curious or had some great tasks for me. And it's also slightly unfortunate for me because it means I have to spend time in nonstop in Zoom for the coming week and a half. But actually, I'm very excited about it because it's super nice. But there is a waiting list. So in case there's a cancellation or there's more sessions coming up, due to increased demand of my time, we can, you'll get notified in case there's an opening. And it's like kind of on a first come, first serve basis. So I think in general, that's the introduction of the project.
Yeah, and just in case folks want to stay engaged and learn more about the project, you and I will do something post MozFest around the reports that come from this. So you can attend and hang out with Jonas at other times. So
yes,
this is great because it's just pointed out that you're talking too much and you're being very critical about your own work. And so you mentioned that you were, you entered the classifications, and the ultimate desire here is to be your very best self. So what were the measurements that you added to be able to quantify when you are at your
it's such a good question, and I think it's exactly at the heart of all of this. Like if you're thinking about artificial intelligence, which is really not what we would think about as intelligence to begin with, but we call it artificial intelligence because that's the domain. And in all sort of algorithmic and automated decision-making processes that we are subjected to on a daily basis, pretty much constantly, almost all kind of automatic systems are now governed by opaque algorithms and weird neural networks. I think most visibly, like social media is the most sort of that you can feel it very quickly, especially if you're on Instagram or Twitter or using Google or Facebook, because these things it's really like you're kind of working against the algorithm to try and work out what's happening, right? And very often it's entirely opaque what the decision is made on. So you don't really know why certain things perform better than others. But with social media, you can sort of guess that they optimize their algorithms for engagement over anything else, because that's what sells, that's what makes them money, basically, because they're in the business of selling our attention to the highest bidder for advertising, right? So in the question of this system, I'll try how to figure out what metrics to kind of use to improve myself. It's slightly opaque as well, but there are certain triggers, like in terms of talking too much or talking too little. And it's also in constant adjustments, because the only way to really test how it works is to do the sessions. So I have some like dials. Very often when it comes to algorithms or these automatic processes, it's described as dials, right? So you tweak a dial of this particular type of content that you want to favor over this particular type of content. And that could be as simple as how many words per minute is normal in a normal conversation when it's balanced. But then it also very much depends on what type of conversation it is. Because if it's in this scenario, like an interview situation, clearly I will be talking a lot because I'm trying to answer questions. But if it's more of a therapeutic kind of session, then obviously I shouldn't be talking so much because it's all based on like listening. So then you have to work out how to classify the type of conversation before it's something else. But yes.
And then where do you put the fact that you're talking so much because it's joy, or you're talking so much because it's anger? Like, how do you classify that?
This is also a good question, because it could be then a lot of positive talk with high sentiment. Obviously, that's quite good, probably. But then a lot of talk with negative sentiment could be bad, but could also be really good because that's super engaging, right? Because like fear and anger is the most engaging like emotional triggers in our brain. So in a way, like how these three algorithms are programmed, the intensity, productivity, and attention, I think they're quite good, because the productivity is somehow very simply suggests that if I'm talking a lot, my productivity decreases, because it's all based on me sitting in front of my computer typing away. So the productivity algorithm optimizes for me talking not a lot and having a very neutral expression, because it's somehow the computer face, like this.
So it actually is scanning there's facial recognition here?
No. Yes, you can see this little box following my face. It's like measuring my emotions.
Yeah.
So then you can see right now my current emotion is neutral. But if I fake smile, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be happy. I can demonstrate.
Yeah, demonstrate. Raise the eyebrows. Let me see. Maybe get some surprise in there. Let's see. Shocked. Okay.
Or maybe disgust. I mean, it will come. Yeah. See, happy. Yay. I managed. So good. And then next to this, there's a bunch of different triggers that facilitates or augments the conversation. So if I would talk about it's cold here or the Berlin weather, you like get to see the weather in Berlin straight away. And now it's again, yes. Or if I mention like some other artworks of mine, it will show pictures of these artworks. Like if I'm talking about the Jonas Lund token project or the fear of missing out, you get images that pop up. So it's a sort of automatic presentation tool as well, in a way. And then it warns me when I'm talking about things that we shouldn't be talking about. And this is like an art talk word detected, where if you mention something like a conspiracy or Trump or things, you get warnings for possible controversial topics or political topics. So you got to proceed with caution. Basically. Yeah. But this is, so like to summarize, to suggest the friendly advice, this system is only for me. It's not for the attendance, for the person who books the session. Yeah. So due to privacy concerns and everything. So it's only analyzing me. Yeah. So it's like sort of the underlying system in a way, because it can also, and sometimes it's also presented as this, like this. So it's only me. Mm-hmm. So you don't really see the interface and only I get the feedback. So because then it's really like somehow something else. So it's kind of like the secondary part, because the primary part of the piece is really this serendipitous encounters through the friendly advice session, which I think is, for me, it's super exciting because I get to meet a lot of different people.
So let's talk about, so you've, I think every 3 sessions a day, and since the start you've had everybody there, so people sign up. Without telling us who those people are, I guess, what are those requests for advice that they've come to you about?
So far, I've had I can give three, 4 examples of different things. Yesterday, I helped a person who was walking around in the city, who had just attempted to deliver a UPS package, but the drop-off shop was closed. So she asked me to find the nearest UPS package shop and direct her to the shop, to like a turn-by-turn sort of. So I became like an automated Google Maps kind of system, which was really nice because I got to see like the view of the city, which was really nice because then I was stuck at home, so that was quite practical. And also yesterday I was speaking with someone who wanted feedback on a recently published article with the title of "Why doesn't the key A on a piano and a violin sound different, even if they're 440 hertz?" So the article tried to explain or like give the explanation as to why they sound so different, with the sort of interactive article where you could change the code and upload your own sounds. So it diverged into us analyzing and comparing brown noise versus white noise and what's the difference, and then was super interesting. Yes, it was like really nice. And then I was speaking with someone who needed advice on how to do corporate team building in the age of a pandemic. Oh, yeah, trigger word pandemic. Yes. Yeah. So my suggestion to that was to organize some Among Us gaming sessions, because that's always really nice. But if you're not familiar with that, it's a great game. Yeah, so I think that was it. So,
amazing. Nice. And you have, and I think like I was recommended your work through a third party, and I was really excited to see the breadth of what you were designing, from the token to other exhibitions that you've done. Do you want to maybe share with us a little bit more about your work and the Jonas Lund token?
Yeah, for sure. I can do this browser again. So I usually say that like most of my work is about power, like power, hierarchical power structures, right? Like the triangle, like how in most systems, this top here makes the decisions for all the other people. Yeah. And networks, so distributed networks, centralized networks, and all of this. So in particular, in certain contexts, who gets to speak for whom and in what context? So how we distribute agency in all these different systems. And a lot of my work has been about the art world as a network in particular, because that's like a super hierarchical power structure. Like it's really due to the subjective value production in art. Like there is no like real quantifiable metrics in determining what's good and bad. So everything centers around this institutional theory of art, that art is whatever the art world says is art. So then like that's such a, for me, coming in the background of being a programmer, this is like so ripe for some type of loophole exploitation, find some shortcuts, something. So I made a lot of work about this. But like I can show a couple of different examples of such works. So one of the more like directly correlated to this is this project, which is called the Jonas Lund token, which is a project that the basis is that I created 100,000 voting shares in my artistic practice. So yeah, now it overlays other pictures on top because I'm talking about art, but that's good news. So basically, if you get a token, you get to vote on proposals for my artistic practice. And you do all of this on this website called jlt.ltd. So it's a way for me to try and optimize, which in itself is a very complicated and dubious term, right? Because what do I optimize for? And what's the sort of core ideology behind this optimization strategy? But in this case, I'm optimizing for sort of increasing the success of my artistic career. Because the theory is that if I make 100,000 voting shares that are which is actually a cryptocurrency built on top of the Ethereum blockchain. And then if my career performs better, the token will be more valuable. So then all the members are incentivized to reach a strategic decision in relation to my practice based on this financial incentive. Yeah. And right now there's 102 members of this Jonas Lund token board, and they get to vote on all kinds of things. So this is one example from earlier last year, a tale of 4 cities, which city to live in. So it's a question to the board on what city I should live in. Oh. And yes. So it has some real life consequences, this artwork. Yes. So it's like, the pitch is like, for the longest time, I've had troubles deciding where to be based. Every city, place, location comes with its pros and cons. And this question has been an unanswered one for the last 7 years, and without any clarity towards where to invest and build. So it says here, it's funny, it's top secret actually, so I shouldn't share it because this is only available to token holders. So anyways, so the 4 options is Amsterdam, Berlin, London, and countryside Sweden. And then in the end, the board decides that I should live in Berlin. So,
which is where you are right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's the minimum effort, you know. Yeah. But I secretly hoped that because countryside Sweden was in the lead for a long time, and I was secretly hoping they would vote out, because then I could justify moving to the countryside Sweden as part of my artistic practice, right? But so then you get a log of all the different votes, or then you kind of so this is like it, and the way you get tokens is by getting like wall-based pieces, like artworks that look like this, for example.
Wait, explain that bit again. The way you get tokens, you get.
So there is a couple of different ways in which you can acquire the Jonas Lund token. Mm-hmm. The most obvious is to purchase an artwork, which is in the Jonas Lund token sphere.
They're doubly investing in you, right?
Yes, basically, yes. It's a good observation. In a way, it's like the artwork is just like a coupon / receipt, like a relic of the transaction, because the actual value is then the tokens. But they're also quite pretty, so it serves as a double function in a way. So this is, yes.
Actually, keep going. No. Keep going.
So this piece here, like careful calibration and consideration, it's 361 Jonas Lund tokens. So if you buy this one, you get 361 tokens in a way. So that's the main principal way of getting it. But there's also a bounty program, which is relevant for you because check this out. In the bounty program, you can receive tokens by doing favors for me. So it's like instrumentalizing the whole favor for favor art world setup, right? So include a work by Jonas Lund in a group show in a gallery can get you 10 to 200 tokens. Include a work by Jonas Lund in a group show in an institution can give you more. Feature Jonas Lund, host Jonas Lund solo exhibition, invite Jonas Lund to give a talk, for example, or give a workshop. There is no commission here, but
how many tokens am I getting?
Exactly. Well, then you have to claim a token here, and then you can see the log of all the people who received tokens for doing certain things. Like this is like Simon Denny include a work by Jonas Lund in a group show in an institution, which is the Chico Pavilion show, and then so it's kind of like it's really also making visible this unknown sort of. It's not necessarily nepotism, but there is something of the fact, like something of
there's like, something really great about the transparency of this, right? So you're showing how everything is, the dots are joining, right? So you know, by investing in your art, you're also saying to folks you're investing in your future career, and in that sense the artwork that they have at home, and they're able to like make those, showing those decisions on who's taking those decisions, and it's like really informative, right? I think it's very brave. Can I say that?
You're allowed to say that. Then I can be like, thank you very much. I mean, it's like I do a lot of those types of work where I create like a system. Like, so I define all the rules of how the system operates, and then like I let it go, and then I see what happens. And part of it is like automatic, part of it is somehow structural. It's all about creating some type of bigger context or community or something where you create something else. So I don't know how brave it is. It's more like, I mean, if you consider it brave, it's fun. I mean,
other people decide where you live, I think.
Yes.
But I think then that kind of ties back into this whole idea around kind of the algorithms and the decisions that go into algorithms that affect us in our day-to-day. And so often we're not part of those decisions that are making those corrective U-turns or left or right turns. And so maybe how would you be the algorithm? Are you living a living data set of the algorithm?
I mean, in a way, it's true though. Like, I mean, there's certainly a parallel between like being subjected to this automatic decision making all the time, and then trying to reclaim more agency in these situations where often you feel like you don't have any.
Yeah.
And in particular, these like massive networks online. And in this way, it's more to share. Like every artist I know have like a group of people they ask for advice about certain things.
Yeah.
But in this way, it's a bit more instrumentalized, and it's a bit more, I'm not sure how to say it exactly, but it feels very often it gets very complicated with this advice, because often the people you ask for advice are also artists, and there's a lot of competition, and there's a lot of sort of back and forth. So in this way, it's more, because there's now 102 people, I also get a bit more distance to the whole thing, although all the advice is really on point. So it's a bit like trying to create I mean, the tagline is a decentralized, autonomous artistic practice. Distributed, decentralized, autonomous, all like what Web 3.0 is, like what cryptocurrency represents. So in a way, that was also my goal. So actually, the end goal of the project is to remove myself entirely. As soon as I lose like my majority share, I don't have to do anything anymore. Then like it can run by itself as its own entity, as a sort of autonomous organization somehow. That will be the goal, but I'm not sure. There's one example. I can show this one because I find it it's like a work I did last year. The system is telling me to relax.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking too much. But this was a part of a show which was organized by a couple of friends of mine here in Berlin, where they did an exhibition in these e-scooters. So they placed like mini Wi-Fi routers in the e-scooters that would only turn on when you rented the e-scooter. And as soon as the router is on, you can connect to it with your phone, and then you get to see some net art. And I love this concept because I find it so funny. And in the text, everything was about capitalism. It's like this type of capitalism, this type of capitalism. It's like the gig economy, capitalism, this, capitalism, that. So I made this text-based piece, which just takes the top 1,000 most common nouns in the English language and juxtaposes it with capitalism. Mm-hmm. And I was really shocked at how strong of an emotional response you get from all these words. Mm-hmm. So like output capitalism, maybe it's not the best example, but like fruit capitalism. What is fruit capitalism? It sounds so dark, you know? And like a blacksmith capitalism. Man. So I was like, corner capitalism. That one is easy to imagine. It's a bit too fast, actually. Season
and
capitalism.
This piece is still live, isn't that correct? You can.
Yes. This is just keeps on running forever. Audience capitalism is pretty appropriate for that. Yes.
I was just wondering, so like thinking about the token piece and how many tokens I might have earned from bringing you to Mozfest, and then thinking about if I put forward a question to you, and then if maybe folks, so if I put forward a question, could I use my tokens to see if you would do the outcome, which would be, would you do a large group session if a certain number of people got on your waiting list?
Yes. I mean, in principle, that could be, it's possible, would be possible, but there are some restrictions, unfortunately. So if you go here, this is actually my favorite part of this whole project, is here. It's like the terms of ownership. So this is the terms of ownership contract for any Jonas Lund token holder. So here it says on paragraph 17, owner may submit proposals to the JLT holders and board of trustees if owner holds at least 1,000 tokens. So you would have to get 1,000 tokens, and then you can submit proposals to the board.
Okay, fine. So you're saying basically, tokens.
So I'm saying it's unlikely that you will receive 1,000 tokens as bounties. For
we should talk about this offline.
Sure, but in principle, that's my goal. Yes, like that's what I would wish to have it in such a way that all the board members can just submit proposals all the time, because then it also increases the autonomy of the piece itself. If everyone who has a token can submit the proposal that gets voted on, and all of it is just like this, then it's more a question of who executes the output. Like if there's a question of that concerns my time, how is that negotiated in terms of exchange and stuff? But
the token element of it, if you've got a waiting list of say 40, 50 people, would you consider adding extra sessions or a group session?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, completely.
Shout out, everybody sign up to the waiting list and he will invite you to your group session.
No, absolutely. It's like it's still early days. We're only on the 4th day.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think also because it's also a learning experience for me in how to be the best sort of advice giver and supplier.
Yourself, obviously, as well.
Yes. So I think absolutely, I'm totally open for that. I think also that was the point of adding a waiting list to adjust the amount of sessions and stuff depending on demand. And then also it's like it's now made for the Mozilla Festival as the first context of this work, which I think is a perfect collaboration, because so many of the topics in my work is addressed more practically and specifically by Mozilla in how to actually improve the health of the internet.
And the sessions of the festival, right?
Yes. So there's so much like overlap in that, because I think it's a lot of collaborative goals, let's say. And I'm very often very hopeless when I look at the current state of the internet, thinking that it's like beyond repair and it's all just like, very depressing. So I'm very, very it's very nice to have conversations with people who every day are fighting for improving this and increasing the discourse, the understanding, all of this thing. Yeah. So that being said, like I think it begins like this, the friendly advice, but it's also likely to continue after as a way to, every time I do an online talk, for example, it's such an immediate way of addressing a lot of these topics, because you get to both experience and be the recipient of like this. I mean, a lot of my work is like making visible things that aren't necessarily visible, or make it more tangible. And I think in that sense, it's very
I think
graspable.
Yeah, and this is what you do really, really well with your work, right? Not just within the tokens, but across all the conversations that you've been having, all your artwork and the conversations that we've been having.
Yeah.
So I think we've come to the end of our time. I think we just said we were going to be live for 30 minutes, but I know we could probably talk for another hour. So we don't know what we're going to do yet. Jonas is giving great advice.
Great feedback.
We don't know what our post. So MozFest Plaza is live for 90 days after the event, and so we encourage people to stay engaged and watch the recordings, and all the art that is there, including some of these recorded moments, will be available to watch. And then you and I, we're going to do a session on the report.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, totally.
We
can do like a total summary of all the sessions and my performance, and if it improved or degraded.
Thoroughly evaluate your performance.
Yes, exactly. Great. Fantastic. No, it's super nice.
Okay, thanks so much for hosting us, and
absolutely.
Everybody check out the work.
Yeah, thank you very much, and see you soon.
Thanks. Bye.